Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the Philosophy for Philistines channel. I've come to the conclusion that I do my best work when I'm pissed off. We have a forum on Facebook dedicated to classical liberalism. And since I'm a classical liberal in the English sense, I wrote the following letter to the group, particularly to its moderators who aren't doing their job. I'm a classical liberal in the English sense. This forum is under attack from Neo-Marxists who, under the guise of positing positive rights, are fulfilling the great cultural Marxist promise of taking the long march through the institutions so that an actual violent revolution of proletariat revolting against the bourgeoisie will be unnecessary. The chief reason for this is the resounding success of free market, individual economic liberty, making revolution an impossibility. In the English constitutional struggles of the 17th century, a number of individuals and groups displayed significant liberal traits. One stands out, however, as the first recognizably liberal party in European history, the Levelers. Led by John Lilburne and Richard Overton, this movement of middle-class radicals demanded freedom of trade and an end to state monopolies, separation of church and state, popular representation, and strict limits even to parliamentary authority. Their emphasis on property, beginning with the individual's ownership of himself, and their hostility to state power, that the amalgamation of the levelers to the pre-socialist diggers were merely enemy propaganda. Although failures in their time, the levelers furnished the prototype of middle-class radical liberalism that has been a feature of the politics of English-speaking people ever since. Later in the century, John Locke framed the doctrine of the natural rights to life, liberty, and estate, which he collectively termed property, in the form that would be passed down through the Real Whigs of the 18th century to the generation of the American Revolution. America became the model nation and, after England, the exemplar of liberalism to the world. Through much of the 19th century, it was, in many respects, a society in which the state could hardly be said to exist, as European observers noted with awe. Radical liberal ideas were manifested and applied by groups such as the Jeffersonians, Jacksonians, abolitionists, and late 19th century anti-imperialists. Under such postmodernists as Foucault and Derrida, literary deconstruction is being used as a tool to negate logic by the sleight of hand manipulation of the meaning of words. This attack on the grand narrative of Western liberal democracy is being used as icing on a cake baked by the Frankfurt School of Social Theory and its advocates such as Jürgen Habermas, whose thinking has incidentally heavily influenced Scandinavia, and noted Italian neo-Marxist radical Antonio Gramsci, who viewed churches, charities, the media, and schools as organizations that needed to be invaded by socialist thinkers. By these means, neo-Marxists have taken the long march through our institutions to corrupt and poison the very underpinning bedrock of Western liberty, namely, the sovereign individual and his or her inherent rights and duties to their fellow citizen to behave in a law-abiding and moral manner. Richard Renström has repeatedly come onto this forum without a single attempt on the part of its moderators, Ian Brent Lee, administrator, Juan Garza, administrator, Ricky Martinez, administrator, to ensure that ethics, epistemology, facts, and reason were the sole foundation for our discussions. If this group advocates the sovereign and autonomous individual based upon the philosophy of classical liberalism, this breach of duty is totally unacceptable and is leading to yet one more cultural Marxist taking the long march through our forum, which is dedicated to liberty. The truly galling aspect of which is that Richard Renström's nation of the Kingdom of Norway was rebuilt with the help of America and the Marshall Plan due to your generosity and help after the Second World War. Without America's help, they would never have achieved the prosperity that they enjoy today due to their oil fund. Oil which, of course, engineers from both Britain and America help them to mine. He is an ungrateful, arrogant narcissist who is blind to the fact that free markets and individual economic liberty invariably outperform planned economies. Stop playing games and behave as adults. Take charge of the group you are appointed to moderate and make certain that the discussions which takes place in this forum are based upon facts and reason. Richard lives in a world of ought, not the world that is. His kind are creating a dystopian nightmare, not the socialist paradise this ideologically possessed fool claims. So there you go. I do my best work when I'm pissed off. And if there's anything that pisses me off, it's a high-handed, moralizing, self-righteous, ignorant Scandinavian who hasn't a clue what life is like outside of their total state-controlled oligarchical system where the socialist collective dictates what you should say, what you can say, how you will act, what you're to think. I left that place screaming, and I'm not putting up with that ass on this forum. Cheers.